to show our viewers precisely, and this is something that NDTV has been putting out for the last 48 hours, and we've been proven right as to just how this bombing was actually carried out. Remember, the United States has attacked Iranian entities in the past, but this is historic because what has happened today is the first ever American airstrike on Iran, ever. There has never been an airstrike of this kind, and they were conducted by B-2 Spirit stealth bombers. These are the Rolls-Royce of stealth aircraft as far as the United States strategic forces are concerned, and these aircraft are virtually invisible to radar. Now, there were two fleets of B-2s, one that came westward across the Pacific, the other that apparently came secretly from the east, and it is understood that it was the latter that conducted these strikes. The B-2 stealth bombers, they cost nearly $2 billion a piece. There are only 19 in existence. They have very, very reduced radar signatures, which would anyway not be compromised because the Iran air defenses have been sufficiently weakened already. What they used was this weapon, which is one of the most powerful, most aggressive non-nuclear weapons. This is what fell from packs of B-2 bombers flying over Iran. It's called the GBU-57. It's a massive ordnance penetrator. It's almost 20 feet long. It doesn't look very big in this image, but this is what Trump's B-2s actually dropped. It's a precision-guided bunker buster bomb. And in just a moment, I'm going to show you precisely what it did for sure to the Fordo nuclear facility. It weighs about 30,000 pounds. It's the biggest non-nuclear weapon ever built. It has a width of about 31 inches, but just look at the length. It's 20 feet long. It doesn't look very big in that image. So this bomb, called the GBU-57, was dropped from a B-2. We do know that at least 2 B-2s per site were actually used from a height. These bombs are dropped. They drop under gravity at extreme velocity using different kinds of navigation and targeting. They are made from performance steel alloys, which are extremely strong, and you'll know why in a moment that they need to be constructed with such strength, because they have to penetrate up to 60 to 70 meters into the earth, and this is what happened very likely at the Fordo facility. 200 feet, that's 61 meters, the Fordo nuclear site, which contains not just a crust of earth, but huge number, like a large width of reinforced concrete. And it is under all that, about 200 feet of concrete, that you have the Fordo nuclear facility, where you've got the site entities, the computers, the nuclear enrichment site, etc. What this basically does, this bomb basically does, is penetrate all the way down to 200 feet, and only then does it detonate. 30,000 pounds worth of warhead on it. It is very, very accurate because it is GPS and inertial navigation system guided, and therefore, as Trump just announced, these bombs dropped from B-2s, even though he didn't take the names of the specific weaponry used, carrying 2,267 kilograms. Just picture that for a moment. 2.2 tons of explosive material. Cost of the bomb about 29 crore each, which is a mere nothing when it comes to strategic forces, has been used. We don't know for sure exactly how many have been used, but at least a handful of these have been used to attack 3 different nuclear sites in Iran. I want to go back to Ankit now for just a moment. Ankit, the B-2 bombers, as you were entering Israel last night, these B-2 bombers were making their way across the Pacific from the United States to Diego Garcia in the Indian Ocean. We understand that a few of them were also possibly secretly stationed, not very far from where you are right now. They may have been there for months or even years possibly in the planning. These are extremely difficult operations, even though these are stealth bombers. So I'm actually picturing the possibility that you were getting into Israel just at the time that these B-2s were hovering over Iran.
Absolutely, no doubt about that, Shiv. That it must have taken a long time to in fact put this entire operation in motion. And what we are also, in fact, picking up the local chatter in the media is that while the President of United States was talking about 2 weeks, so and so forth, there were already preparations going on for this operation. Israel was quite convinced that United States is going to, in fact, step up, their operation as far as the Iranian nuclear facilities are concerned. And like you mentioned, initially all those air raids which were carried out, the missiles which were launched or the attacks which were carried out by Israel were also to test, in fact, the air defense systems of Iran. And the United States jumped in at a very important, crucial time while attacking, in fact, these sites. Remember, Israel had also yesterday said that Isfahan nuclear site was attacked by the Israeli Defense Forces, but the question that people were asking at that point of time was because Israel does not have this kind of bunker busters, Shiv, as you described them just a short while back. The impact of this has only been on the surface because all these nuclear sites are hundreds of feet underground, and hence the United States jumping in and with these 3 strikes at 3 critical nuclear bases as far as Iran is concerned, sites that Iran calls are being used for civilian energy purposes, only escalates matters from here. Yesterday as well, we had seen Israel announcing that the commander of the Quds forces in Iran has been in fact killed, and now with all these strikes as well, there is anticipation that Iran is going to retaliate, but a heightened sense of preparedness as we speak in Israel.
Okay, Ankit, I'm going to come back to you in just a moment. I want to play out for our viewers in just a second what Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, where Ankit is reporting from, has just said. Listen to his words very carefully, and I want to quickly draw our attention also to these pictures from the Situation Room. Well, pretty much the war room in the United States, where Trump and his senior military brass and advisors were basically watching the execution of what is a historic and unprecedented airstrike by the United States on Iran. Hopefully we'll get some screens of what they were looking at later in the day, but these are publicly released pictures by the White House of President Trump and his top team watching the bombing of Iran. Now here's Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel. Listen to his words very carefully.
Congratulations, President Trump. Your bold decision to target Iran's nuclear facilities with the awesome and righteous might of the United States will change history. In Operation Rising Lion, Israel has done truly amazing things. But in tonight's action against Iran's nuclear facilities, America has been truly unsurpassed. It has done what no other country on earth could do. History will record that President Trump acted to deny the world's most dangerous regime the world's most dangerous weapons. His leadership today has created a pivot of history that can help lead the Middle East and beyond to a future of prosperity and peace. President Trump and I often say, peace through strength. First comes strength, then comes peace. And tonight, President Trump and the United States acted with a lot of strength. President Trump, I thank you. The people of Israel thank you. The forces of civilization thank you. God bless America. God bless Israel. And may God bless our unshakable alliance, our unbreakable faith.
Quick word with our man on the ground, Ankit Tyagi, who's in Tel Aviv, Israel, where the Prime Minister of that country has just spoken. Ankit, what did you make from the words of Benjamin Netanyahu in Israel? One often has to read between the lines to decode what the next steps and intent might actually be. How did that seem to you? Because right now the big question is what that triangle is going to look like. Is Israel going to come under attack from Iran directly, or is Iran going to, target United States units? How did it seem to you?
Well, Shiv, Iran has already been threatening that if United States jumps into this conflict, then of course United States assets in Middle East will be fair game as far as the Israeli, defense forces, the Iranian defense forces are concerned. Whether they would risk at this moment or not is something that we will have to wait and see. Shiv, very quickly, like you played out what Benjamin Netanyahu said, his statement, he's also put out a detailed statement in Hebrew for the people of Israel. And if you allow me very quickly, I will read that out for our viewers. He has said, "Dear citizens of Israel, my brothers and sisters, in Operation Kalvi, we achieved unprecedented achievement together in Israeli history. You remember from the beginning of the operation, I promised you Iran's nuclear facilities will be destroyed one way or the other. This promise was fulfilled." So largely, he's telling the people of Israel that the objective of the current operation at this moment has been achieved, with United States, in fact, bombing the 3 facilities in Iran. He also goes on to say a short time ago, in full coordination between me and President Trump, and in full operational coordination between IDF and United States military. All right, Shiv, as we speak, I can see some military helicopters already on the skyline of Tehran, just Tel Aviv, just behind me. A couple of military helicopters, hovering around. He has also, in fact, he goes on to say that I congratulate the people of Israel. And he says, in my name and on behalf of the people of citizens of Israel, on behalf of entire Jewish people, I thank President Trump from the bottom of my heart. We stand together, we fight together, and with God's help, we win together. So basically, in fact, going on to suggest and tell the people here in Tel Aviv and Israel that the objective of this mission was to destroy the nuclear facilities, and United States and Israel has in fact done that with those strikes on 3 nuclear facilities of Iran. Now, everything that happens is only a defensive mechanism, is only retaliatory in nature. At least the objective which Israel set out for has been achieved as far as the president of Israel is concerned, Shiv.
Okay, Ankit, I'm going to let you go for the moment, but we'll get you back in just a second. Remember that the suspense over what Iran's next move is going to be is the big question right now. The United States president has announced that the aircraft that conducted this strike, and here they are watching that strike taking place, those aircraft are safely out of Iranian airspace and that they are safely on their way back home, are the exact words that President Trump has actually used. I want to show you a map of the 3 sites in Iran that have been bombed by Trump's B-2 Spirit bombers this morning. Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan. These are the 3 sites and their precise locations in Iran that have actually been bombed. And as you can see, Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan, which are basically top level, the highest level of nuclear facilities in the country, are not on the borders. They are deep inside the heart of Iran. Fordo is considered one of the most difficult ones to strike because it is, like I said, 70 meters deep down under a massive mountain. These 3 nuclear facilities have actually been struck. I want to get you what President Trump has said. Once again, reading between the lines of what he has said, let's try and decode, after you hear what the US president has said, what the next steps might be. Here's President Trump.
The US military carried out massive precision strikes on the 3 key nuclear facilities in the Iranian regime: Fordo, Natanz, and Esfahan. Everybody heard those names for years as they built this horribly destructive enterprise. Our objective was the destruction of Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity and a stop to the nuclear threat posed by the world's #1 state sponsor of terror. Tonight, I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated. Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace. If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and a lot easier. There's no military in the world that could have done what we did tonight.
I want to go across to James Bowden, who joins our coverage this morning. James, good morning. Thanks very much for joining NDTV's rolling reportage from the ground in Iran, Israel, and here in India on this unfolding situation in West Asia, the bombing of at least 3 nuclear sites in Iran. Your first reactions to your understanding of what may have happened. We've just heard Trump speak. The Israeli Prime Minister has also spoken. Your first thoughts, James?
Do you want to win $100,000 just for launching your first digital product? My company, Stansor, is running a 30-day challenge with Stephen Bartlett that's free to join and designed to help you build the business of your dreams. The grand prize is $100,000 and one-on-one mentorship from both myself and Stephen, as well as attending a live recording of the Diary of a CEO podcast. So start your free trial, launch your Stansor, and start building the business of your dreams.
James.
Several things come to my mind initially. Number one, just going back to some comments that have been made by some previous guests and you as well, just kind of reinforcing that what has happened is these B-2 bombers, I was actually tracking the arrival of these B-2 bombers that were likely used in this strike. They arrived in the region around the 1st or 2nd of April. And the ones that were reported to have been moved from the West Coast were then taken to Guam. And in consultation with experts and regional studies people for the Southeast Asian region, they believe that those were positioned there to ensure that China could not take advantage of the situation. Yeah. Second of all, the bombs were dropped, and the reason why you had 2 was that you would have one that is dropped in there in order to create a hole, and then you have the second or even third one to develop the strike further and actually do the penetration. The final thing that I would like to comment on is what Iran is likely to do as a response, as a retaliation. And my chief concern is actually a cyber attack on the United States, likely starting with Israel, but also with the United States. For a long time, we have heard warnings about sleeper cells, Iranian agents, Hezbollah, other groups that may be here based in the United States. But right now, I have been reaching out to relatives and to friends and other connections and urging them to have cash on hand because there may be attempts to shut down the banking system or to reach out to other infrastructure here in the United States through the internet and again through the cyber domain, and thus cause confusion and delay in that realm.
What do you think the immediate fallout is going to be, James? I know these are early hours at this point. There's not much to go on because we've already been talking about what the next moves could be, but it has happened now. So the dynamics slightly change because we have a situation where it is no longer about speculating about a strike. It has literally happened. How are you reading what the situation unfolding could look like?
Again, just looking into the future and what might develop, I know that there was a statement released that they would shut down the Strait of Hormuz, and that is definitely a possibility. The U.S. Fifth Fleet, which is based in Bahrain, from what I understand, was actually moved out of the Persian Gulf, and so there will be an opportunity to open it up and attack those Iranian forces. I've also been hearing the speculation that there would be some missiles fired at bases in the region. The United States has bases in Kuwait. They have a base in Qatar and in Bahrain. And those are definitely viable targets that could be hit by Iranian missile barrages. But we also know that the United States has put in the PAC-3 or the Patriot 3 missile system in order to defend against that. Now, this is a much more advanced system than what we saw deployed in the Persian Gulf War in 1990, 1991. And I definitely hope and look forward to seeing a much higher rate of success of interception by this system.
James, stay with me. Michael Patrick Mulroy, former United States Deputy Assistant Secretary for Defense for the Middle East, is also with me live at this point of time. Michael, welcome. Thanks for joining our coverage. Your opening thoughts in the initial hours after the announcement that Fordo, Natanz and Isfahan, three principal nuclear sites in Iran, have just been bombed, very likely by stealth bombers from the United States. We've heard the US president speak as well. Your initial thoughts, Michael?
Good to be with you and your audience. I mean, we obviously saw this coming.
Yeah.
Israel had completely dominated Iran when it comes to their capacity to defend themselves, but they could not get to the depth in these facilities to really do damage to the nuclear program. That required a specific type of munition, a massive ordnance penetrator, specifically the GBU-57. And only the United States had that and the capacity to deliver it, which was done by the B-2 Spirit aircraft. So I think that's where the U.S. had to step in to do this. Obviously, they've done that. We don't know what the damage was at these facilities. It was difficult to determine just how deep they were. These penetrators could get down to around 200 feet below the surface and go right through hardened structures. But there's some indication that specifically in Fordow that these facilities went to 300. So they might have tried to put one on top of the other to get deeper. But I'm sure the U.S. intelligence community is working hard to determine just how much damage they did. But I think the estimation would be they would set these programs back many years, 3 to 5 years. And that's what they're looking at now. Of course, now we're looking at what Iran's going to do in response.
Iran has already said that they, in anticipation, Michael, of these attacks, they've evacuated these sites. They've said in some cases that not much damage has happened. These are placeholder comments that usually come in the face of an attack of this kind. There will be a measure of fog of war as well. So there's not much to go by apart from, the announcements that have been made. You've just said that it will take some time to recover from these strikes. What level of damage, knowing what we know about Fordo, Isfahan and Natanz, and what goes on there, what kind of damage do you think is likely to have happened given the size of the weapons very likely used here?
So these weapons are massive. They're about 30,000 pounds, just to give you an example. Like the weapons, the JDAMs that were so concerning in Gaza because of the damage were 2,000 pounds. And it's believed that the U.S. has around 30 of these in their arsenal. So it's going to cause considerable damage. It's to get down to the facilities. I mean, if it's cut off from being able to reach, then essentially it's destroyed. And of course, there is no way that Iran can defend its airspaces. They being the IDF, has essentially taken out all of their air and missile defense. So if they try to restart these facilities, they could be attacked again. It's not necessarily a one and done situation. The U.S. could bomb it again if they tried to essentially start rebuilding. So this is a big setback for the nuclear program, and likely that the U.S. is prepared to continue this if necessary.
Yes.
But the issue is we don't know what we don't know. Do they have other facilities that we're not aware of, and they could essentially be trying to enrich uranium to the point of weaponization, and then of course make it into a nuclear deliverable weapon.
Where do you see Israel's role right now, Michael? My final question to you, because we've heard Netanyahu, the prime minister of that country, speak as well. Do you think there could be more strikes from Israel right now? Do you think Iran could also target American facilities, establishments in the region?
So Israel, I think, has run their target list. They obviously can always come up with more targets, but they have done a lot of damage and really proven their superiority militarily. But to your other part of your question, that was a big concern of the U.S. There's around 40,000 troops at many locations throughout the Middle East. And they have been evacuated, for the most part, into other areas where Iran wouldn't likely target. Ships have been put to sea from Bahrain. Aircraft have been moved from Al Udeid in Qatar. And the troops have been moved. I can tell you, I'm in a hotel that's full of American troops right now. I'm not going to tell you where it is, but that was a concern, and I think the United States has prepared for that. But that doesn't mean we're completely secure. Iran has a network, an international terrorism network that could target diplomats and soft targets. One of the biggest concerns is that they're going to mine the Straits of Hormuz, which could severely disrupt global trade, particularly energy. And that's something I don't think we can even stop them from doing. We could clear it, but it could take months. So that's one of the biggest concerns of the United States, and it should be for the region as well.
All right, stay with me, Michael. James Bowden, I'd like to quickly come back to you for a final word on this before we move on to our reporters on the ground. American units, American targets coming under a retaliatory response from Iran. We do know that Iran's air defense capability has been significantly weakened, especially in the eastern part of the country. Do you see that happening? Do you see that as one of the early things that Iran might do?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
What Iran's immediate retaliation is likely to look like? Do you think American military targets could come under attack?
I do believe that there is a chance that we could see a limited missile barrage. I mean, there could be a few missiles sent over to these Middle Eastern locations, maybe also a handful into Israel. But again, my greatest concern is that one of the earliest retaliations that we will see is something in the cyber domain. Again, maybe oriented towards Israel, but also possibly against the United States. That continues to be a concern, as well as the possibility of activating different sleeper elements or soft elements, as was just suggested a short time ago, to attack places of worship, let's say like Jewish synagogues here in the United States and other locations. So it's hard to 100% estimate what that response will be, because we do know that Israel has degraded Iran's electronic capability, and they have also throttled back on that because they risk exposing their positions and becoming targets themselves. I think that one of the great, one of the big check marks on Israel's list is actually taking out the governmental leadership. That Khamenei is one of the next targets on their list, and that they will go after him, eliminate that, and cause that chaos in the leadership.
Michael, I wanted to ask you one final question before I let the both of you go. On the Khamenei himself, that as far as Israel is concerned, as far as the United States is concerned, seems to be unfinished business, if I could use that phrase. Where do you think that's going, the leadership in Iran?
Well, a lot of it's been decimated, particularly the military leadership and the IRGC leadership, and of course the nuclear scientists and technician. If they know where Khamenei is, I don't think Israel would hesitate to strike. And they've proven very good at leadership decapitation strikes, not just in Iran, but with Hezbollah and Hamas. And I think they're going to look to do that. There's reports that President Trump requested that not happen, probably because of the instability it could cause. But if this continues, and certainly if the attacks happen on U.S. forces in the region, and if there's any casualties, that might change President Trump's calculus. So it might happen, which of course would cause the ultimate regime change, and then we'd have to see where we go from there. But right now, it's really in Iran's court to decide whether they're going to conduct these attacks. Cyber, I think that's also a good point. That could cause a lot of damage. And even if they just send missiles, they probably going to do something to try to save face. Whether it'll be effective at all is unlikely, but we'll see. You never know, and that could escalate this even further.
Michael and James, thanks very much for joining us on our continuing coverage. We're going to go to our reporters on the ground in a moment. We'll be joined by Ankit Tyagi, who is in Israel. We'll be getting our reporter from the ground in Tehran, Iran as well in just a moment. I'm going to go across to Mohammad Ghazali, who tracks foreign affairs for NDTV, and he joins me live this morning as well. Ghazali, any initial reactions? There's no official statement from India just yet, but any initial murmurs or sounds you're tracking from the Indian system at this point of time? They're obviously going to be looking very closely at what's going on.
Yes, certainly. India is closely watching the developments, Shiv, partly due to first reason that evacuation process is on from Iran. A flight is expected to land today as well from Iran in Delhi. The other is strategic importance that why India is keeping an eye on both Iran and Israel is that one, we have got a port in Haifa and we have got a port in Chabahar. And both of these ports, at least the city of Haifa has come under attack. The Chabahar port has not come under attack as of now. But the escalating situation certainly hints that now the focus of retaliation from Iran would be the naval bases. And we are getting reports that how there is a panic among the containers and vessels in the Strait of Hormuz right now. So India is certainly keeping an eye. And before, I should also inform that this evacuation process, which has been going on for the last 2-3 days, India is not only in touch with Iran, but also with Israel.
Ghazali, amidst this evacuation from Iran right now, even though the bombings have been taking place in nuclear sites, strategic sites in Iran right now, the concern as far as evacuation is concerned has become much more heightened, obviously. So there will be a sense of urgency within the system to make sure that they're able to get people out even quicker now.
Yeah, because there are still thousands of Indians stranded over there, and the bigger challenge is to assemble them at one point. Yeah. The internet is not working. There is restricted access to the internet connection over there, and that is why not just the students, but there were many pilgrims who had gone to Iraq. On their way back, they have come to Iran and they're stuck there. So there are many first-time visitors to Iran. They are in a panic situation right now because the overnight development will certainly create more chaos over there. They have to travel a long distance from anywhere in the near Tehran or Qom or the city of Mashhad. From there, any land border takes around 10 to 12 hours to cross to sort of get out of Iran to any other country like Armenia or Turkmenistan or other neighboring countries. So that would be a bigger challenge. India will have to ensure that while they are moving towards the border areas, they are safe from any kind of aerial strikes from Israel or US, if any, because Donald Trump has also hinted that they will continue to pursue Iran, push Iran to come for negotiations, and if that doesn't